What is good? We're back. We got the CM and Austin squad ready to go. So, that means in some capacity, we're probably talking about rookies. And in this particular show, before we move on to the 25 rookies, which you're going to get a whole lot of that from these two guys in front of you, gracing your presence with the microphone there. We want to come in here and recap the 24 class since we're through week 18. This crop has got their chance to run through, and we just wanted to kind of look over their stats, maybe put a value on some of the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and that's where we're mostly going to focus. The running back class, we know Bucky was basically RB1 and Tyrone Tracy was a great delight, but not a whole lot to look at there. So we're going to primarily focus on quarterback, wide receiver, and a little bit of tight end in this discussion. Just kind of an overview of how this year went, what we thought of them, maybe a little bit of value check on each and every one of them. Austin, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Happy to be here. Happy to talk ball. Always happy to talk about the 24 class. We were infatuated with them several months ago, probably over a year ago, I should say. And it's great that we still feel the same way, man. What an incredible year for that class. Just the NFL's in good hands, man.
Yeah, for sure. And, we'll start over on the wide receiver side of things. So we're going to do a 2024 rookie kind of recap of the draft after the first 18 weeks. So obviously we know the heavy hitters, right? We know Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Ladd McConkey, to some extent Marvin Harrison, and then we could throw Brock Bowers in there because he had such a good year, and there's not a whole lot of tight ends to kind of recap in this particular scenario here to see what they did. But when you come over here and you just look at the sheer targets that some of these guys got year one, I mean, you had Malik Neighbors with 166, Brock Bowers, a tight end with 150, Brian Thomas with 129, Ladd McConkey with 110, Marv Harrison Jr. with 114, Odunze 98, Worthy 96, Xavier Worthy 82. So some big time targets for a lot of the guys that you were liking all through that first round of your rookie drafts and some into the mid-second there. Just from a target and, yards perspective, very, very good from this class. You had 1,200 yards from Neighbors, 1,100 yards from Brock Bowers, 1,200 yards from Brian Thomas, 1,100 yards from Ladd McConkey, Marv Harrison, 885 yards, Odunze, 700 yards, Xavier Worthy, who came on a little later in the season, 638 yards. Leggett had 497 yards. So some good yardage totals for some of them boys. Looks like, Ricky Pearsall coming on late, just got over the 400 mark there. He was playing some good ball late. Jaylen McMillan had 461 yards later in the season. So a lot of good stuff coming in from this rookie class. Austin, what was your big takeaway from this class? Did any of the stats really jump out at you with these guys, or how did you view this year as a whole from the 2024 wide receiver crop?
Huge success, right? Of course. And we had high expectations, Casey. How in the world did they not exceed them, right? We saw 4 guys go over the 1,000-yard mark. I could be wrong. I don't think that has ever happened, man. I can't even remember a year where 3 rookies crossed the 1,000-yard receiving mark, right? Of course, one of them is a tight end in Brock Bowers. Like you mentioned, whether it was Neighbors or Bowers, the amount of receptions they had this season was insane. Like Neighbors had more receptions this year than OBJ ever had. Right. That's kind of hard to believe. Right. And yeah. Neighbors obviously missed multiple games and caught passes from like Tim Boyle and, of course, Daniel Jones for a good stretch. I'm missing the other 2 quarterbacks. It was Drew Lock and
Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah. So, shout out to Malik Neighbors, man. He's just everything that we hoped for and more. Brock, obviously, I'll tell you what, I'm kind of a little annoyed that the Raiders did not force feed Brock in the final game. I wanted him to break Zach Ertz's record for most receptions of all time, single season by a tight end at 116, was it? I think it was 116. And Bowers finished with 112. So just an insane year, man. Like the most receptions by a tight end during their rookie campaign.
Yeah, no,
it was Sam Laporta at 84 and Brock Bowers is out here at 112 or 80, and whatever it was. It was insane, man.
You were right there with 112 for Bowers. you were right there with Malik Neighbors potentially catching Puka. He missed some chunks of time there, and he had 109 receptions on the year through 18. So just seeing this rookie class, you have Malik Neighbors with a 46.1 air yard share, Marvin Harrison 43.4% air yard share, Brian Thomas 33.9% air yard share, Odunze 33.8. Those are big numbers from guys in their first year. And then we could go over here. Targets per route run, 0.32 for Malik Neighbors, 0.26 for Brian Thomas, 0.22 for Marvin Harrison, 0.24 for Ladd McConkey, 0.21 for Xavier Legette, and Brock Bowers coming in at 0.27. So those are all really, really good numbers for rookie players there. Like you had mentioned, there's 109 receptions for Neighbors, 112 for Brock Bowers. Those are both crazy numbers. 87 receptions for Brian Thomas. 62 for Marvin Harrison, 49 for Xavier Legette, not bad. 54 for Odunze. These are all really solid numbers coming across from rookies. And obviously the main focus in this class was Marvin Harrison, and everybody was expecting Marv to be the guy with these big numbers. And while he didn't put up the gaudy numbers that Neighbors and then Brian Thomas did for a large stretch of the back half of this season, I thought it was still a really good season for Marvin Harrison. Basically identical numbers from his dad in their rookie seasons. And we know how that turned out for Marvin Harrison Sr., obviously attached to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Peyton Manning, with Marvin Harrison Sr. But I do think we lose sight of what a bust is anymore. And people were because he was so highly touted, people kind of putting the bust tag on Marv, but Marv almost could have gotten to 1,000 yards with a couple more games where he would have gotten a little bit more of the target share maybe early on in the season. It seemed like they were doing a better job on the back half of the season getting Marv the ball. So what are your thoughts on Marv kind of moving forward here?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic time to buy him low, man. I mean, he was top 5 in win rate versus man, 42%, top 3 in target rate versus man. Now, Kyler was the epitome of up and down this year, right? You couldn't trust him, very inconsistent. Trey McBride didn't have a receiving touchdown until the final week or two. Yeah, it was just. What are you going to do, man? You can only do so much as a wide receiver, of course, right? You're always going to need a competent quarterback. And I'm not saying that Kyler is not competent, but, there were stretches this season where it was just like, man, there's a lot of meat left on the bone, right? Like Marv finishes 4th in the NFL this season in air yards, top 5 in air yard share, top 5 in deep targets. Like these are really good numbers, man. And you just... Casey, we talked about this before, but again, I want to take that step back and just talk about JSN, his rookie season, right? Finishing as the wide receiver 48. So many people are out on him, and he goes nuclear this year, right? Marv, a lot better rookie season. Let's see what he does year 2. I'd be willing to put all of my chips in on him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And we'll make a video, I'm sure, multiple times and having Marv and Rome Odunze for me as well, probably a little bit more in closer to the JSN vein, which we kind of expected a little bit there to be huge buys all off season long. We'll talk about those guys ad nauseum, I'm sure. You'll get sick of me saying it and probably leave some nasty comments about it. But we're going to hammer that home all off season. Those are going to be some of the biggest buys for me, and it seems like for Austin as well.
Hey guys, a quick reminder to head over to patreon.com/the FF Dynasty to sign up for a free membership to get access to the free Discord channel. Or hit your boys with the $5 holler and get access to extra shows, mock drafts, roster reviews, ADP, and player pages. All for your pleasure.
We kind of expected it with Rome to the JSN point of, hey, we got a rookie quarterback and 2 other really good wide receivers there. So, he's probably going to be kind of third fiddle on that offense. But the positive is he's shown that he can win. The film guys were saying, hey, he's running good routes. He's getting open. As this moves forward, hopefully we get, an offensive coach in there to help Caleb kind of progress and let those guys grow together. So that's a duo that I'm very interested in kind of moving forward. Obviously, Brian Thomas having an excellent season as well. Him and Neighbors have definitely been the fan favorites through the fantasy season for sure. Brian Thomas having 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns for Brian Thomas, man. That's a crazy number for a rookie to throw up 10 TDs, 87 receptions, targets per route run, like I said, 2.6, target percentage 23.6. Those are pretty big numbers. Now, when we move forward with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Giants here, right? Down the stretch, you saw basically there was nobody else to throw the ball to in Jacksonville, and there's always been nobody to throw the ball to in New York through this season.
Mm-hmm.
And, do we need to temper expectations for those two guys moving forward? They've shown that they're great receivers, right? We're not trying to take anything away from them, but I feel like this is just setting up prime for people to come in next year and be like, well, what's wrong with Malik Neighbors and what's wrong with Brian Thomas, because they're not getting this elite target share. Like, since Mac Jones kind of took over and all the rest of the Jaguars were hurt, you go through the targets, like 10 targets, 12 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets, 8 targets for Brian Thomas. And it was like that early and often for Neighbors. So do you think it's fair to say, hey, those guys are still going to be really great, but temper your expectations when the competition comes back a little bit in Jacksonville and maybe they add some in New York?
Yeah, regression drink, Jason. No, man. And you could really add Brock Bowers in this as well, right? Mm-hmm. These guys just had so many targets. And I think that, look, they're going to go on to have great careers, knock on wood that they stay healthy. I have no question. But if they do regress next season, would I be surprised? Of course not, man. I mean, I felt the same way about Puka, right? I really did like Puka. I thought he was a legitimate wide receiver. I believed in him going into year 2, but I was a little nervous at his ADP, and I'm not going to victory lap by any means. Like, Puka's a rock star. He got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, man, he probably would have been able to replicate or have an even better year 2, which is insane. It shows you just how good Puka really is. But yeah, man, I'm 100% on board with what you said. If BTJ, Brock Bowers, and Malik take a hit in the target department, no, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's really going to hurt them necessarily as being a great fantasy player. We just might need to temper expectations of seeing this volume at the level you did consistently. There'll certainly be games where they do it, and they still can do it on less targets. You put more guys around them, bigger splash plays, opening things up a little bit, so you can get a little bit of balance, but you might not see as crazy numbers, or it's just more of the same. Hey, these are the dominant guys. So I think there'll be a little bit mix of both. As far as Yak Kings from this rookie class, you had Brock Bowers with 599 yards of because I mean, Brock's basically a wide receiver. And then you had Brian Thomas coming in with the receivers at 472, 6.57 yards or yak per reception for Brian Thomas. That's a great number there. Xavier Worthy had 6.93 on, less volume, but some yak per target there, or per reception rather, looking really good for them. Team market shares, Malik Neighbors coming in at 53.8, Brian Thomas 52.6 of their team market shares. Everybody else in the 30s or 20s. So that's kind of what I was just trying to say a little bit, is we could temper expectations. Don't expect the team market share to be that high for those guys year over year. As things change and different things kind of get healthy for their respective teams. You got first read target percentage for those kind of guys is another number we like to look at. Malik Neighbors coming in at 42.8 in first read target percentage. And then Brian Thomas, 29.1, Ladd McConkey, 29, 28.2 with Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison, 27, and then, a fall off to Xavier Worthy at 20.4. So again, these rookies, man, just really getting the lion's share of the work for their teams and really doing well with the work. Before we go to the quarterback side of things, Austin, did you have anything to add, any interesting stats or any takeaways before we give you a little comparison of maybe some rookie receiver value, a little versus, if you will?
Yeah, the final 2 players I want to touch on, it's Jaylen McMillan and Ricky Pearsall. And I just simply want to say, the situations for both of these players will change next season inevitably. I think, we could potentially see Debo out of town, right? Mm-hmm. We could see, let's see what happens with Chris Godwin, obviously. Again, situation's going to change for both of these players, but I really, really like what I've seen from them over the past month, man. I mean, they're getting better and better each week. right? They're having a higher snap percentage. They're just simply on the field more, playing more football. And it's just great to see them produce at a higher rate, right? I think that this is the type of strong note that they needed to end their rookie campaign with, to give us a little more confidence next season, right? I'm probably going to be very much in on both of these players at their ADP. Hopefully the Twitter community does not jack up their ADP, come August.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if it did happen. But yeah, man, I'm very much in on Ricky Pearsall and Jaylen McMillan.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to see some of these guys in the playoffs. We'll get to see Jaylen McMillan, how long he stays around. We'll get to see Xavier Worthy. Those kind of guys have big playoff performances and are on the solo stage, and people get to see them because everybody's not watching all these games. A lot of people aren't watching hardly any of the games except for their team and then their box score watching, which is why you get so much inflammatory talk about these guys. But when you put them on this stage, if somebody like Jaylen McMillan or Xavier Worthy blows up, you certainly will get a bump in ADP because the whole world saw it. So right now, we just did some mocks. Xavier Worthy came in at around 6'9". Would you rather have Xavier Worthy or DK Metcalf?
DK Metcalf.
Okay. How about Xavier Worthy or Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers. Another pretty confident answer right there. I don't think that I think there's definitely a gap between those two still.
Yeah. How about Xavier Worthy or I know this wasn't a favorite of yours coming into the season, Jameson Williams?
Give me Jameson Williams.
All right.
1,000 yards, by the way, 1,001. He just got there. Dude, I'll take that L, Casey. I was wrong. I was 100%
I mean, it's
wrong.
It's plenty of L's to be taken and handed out for sure. Xavier Worthy or Travis Etienne?
Let's have some fun. Yeah, give me Xavier Worthy.
Okay. I like it. All right, let's go Jaylen McMillan and Ricky Pearsall with some quick verses, and we'll get over to the quarterback side of things. Jaylen, some of those guys that you mentioned, maybe feeling excited about moving into next season. Jaylen McMillan or Tyrone Tracy?
Oof. Oh man, let me just say something real quick, man. I've been high and bullish on Tracy, and while it looked awesome year one, I am still a little bit worried, right? We see these day three running backs often get replaced, right? That sometimes these teams just have the BPA, best player available approach. If there's a legit high quality running back in round two, whether it's like someone like, let's just say it's Judkins or whether it's Omarion Hampton, whoever it may be, man, we see it more often than not. And it just worries me a little bit. And I'm just a little hesitant about Tyrone Tracy in Dynasty. I hate to admit it, that's how I really feel. With that being said, I would pivot off of Tracy here.
All right. How about old Terry McLaurin or Jaylen McMillan?
Give me Terry. I do like McMillan, but Terry's a rock star, man.
All right. How about Bryce Young, the resurgence of Bryce Young or the young rookie Jaylen McMillan?
This is super flex we're talking, obviously,
sure,
right? So
sure.
I feel like it has to be Bryce.
Okay.
Dude, Bryce looks good, man.
Bryce does look good.
Dare I say better than CJ Stroud? No.
Woo.
Yell at me in the comments. No, man, but I think there's definitely going to be some people who feel that way. Maybe it's way too much of a hot take, but man, Bryce looks good. I liked him as a prospect, so it makes me feel good that I'm not going to sit here and just I didn't give up on him after year one. I was telling people to buy him.
Buy.
I hope you did.
I like it. All right. I'll use this guy to kind of go in between these next two guys. Jaylen McMillan or Josh Downs? I know you're a Colts guy.
Give me Josh Downs. It's a good question though.
Josh Downs. All right. I like it. Okay. So Josh Downs or Ricky Pearsall? Yeah, I'm putting yourself against your favorite team.
Oh man. Give me Josh Downs there. Pearsall looks good, man. He looks really good lately. I think that we haven't seen Josh Downs' best football, and he truly needs a quarterback who can throw for north of 4,000 yards, right? That would unleash him a lot. That would
really unleash his game for sure. Keon Coleman or Pearsall?
Give me Ricky Pearsall.
All right. How about Joe Mixon or Pearsall?
Ooh,
Probably build team dependent a little, but he's just saying vacuum.
Yeah. Give me Joe Mixon.
Yeah. Yeah. How about Godwin coming back from the injury? Pearsall.
God, Godwin was such a beast this year.
He's like wide receiver 1.
Give me Chris Godwin, man. I'm still in on Chris Godwin.
Feels like you got to roll the dice one more time. 29-year-old Godwin coming back. Hopefully he signs with the Bucks. All right. How about Ricky Pearsall? We'll go down a little. Ricky Pearsall or Jerry Jeudy with the resurge.
How do you say no to Jerry Jeudy here? Right, dude. Like I was probably on this podcast a month or two ago calling Jerry Jeudy a loser. So
yeah,
here I am. I'm a big fat loser. So shout out to Jerry Jeudy, man.
All right. We could stop it there. I think that was I think that was some fun there. So let's cut it there. Let's move over to the quarterback side of things.
Can we talk about Jerry Jeudy for just a second?
Sure. Let it out.
You just think about where his dynasty redraft, whatever value 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it was Jameis Winston who sparked it. I'm not sure if Jerry Jeudy got pissed off at Steve Smith or he heard me on the FF Dynasty. I don't know who it was.
He was tired of who was the dude from the Broncos? He got tired of Schlereth talking shit about him. Mark Schlereth. Yeah.
Was he? I didn't.
Oh, he was hammering him.
Didn't Jeudy finish third in the NFL this year in receiving yards? It was something so unbelievably high.
Not sure, but he absolutely slaughtered and brought it all the way back. So I hope Cam Ward or somebody ends up over there and we can keep this train rolling with Jeudy and Tillman. I like it. All right, let's move over to the quarterbacks. We have just an excellent crop of quarterbacks. And now late, we've got Michael Penix entering the ring and showing signs of life of being a competent NFL quarterback with a lot of fun weapons surrounding him and an offensive coordinator that's seemed to break free of maybe Kirk's mobility hampering him a little bit. So good to see Penix out there to start. But I mean, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May, and Caleb Williams really just holding down what was all-star cast of new quarterbacks in the league, man. Really exciting stuff, right?
I mean, it's so interesting. Like you look at the Giants sitting there at 6 and they walk away with Malik Neighbors. I would have done the same thing, full transparency, but it's like, man, Bo Nix looks pretty damn good. Michael Penix Jr. looks pretty damn good. They were both there. And it's just, it's interesting to look back 1 year from today, but I don't fault Joe Sheen for that decision.
No,
any means.
Every player's story is different for the situation that they go into. And I don't know if Bo Nix's story would be the same right now. We'd probably be a lot of people saying, see, I told you so. He's a bust if he went to New York, at least year 1. Right. But the fact that he gets paired up with a match made in heaven, which is why we liked it so much and why we were in on Bo Nix, especially where you could get him in rookie draft, super flex wise. It's been a match made in heaven, and here they are going to Buffalo to play the Bills first round of the playoffs, right?
It's going to be good. A good game, man. Denver low-key scares me. I think they are very legit, and it would not surprise me if they gave Buffalo, a run for their money. They're a good team.
Yeah, Bo Nix leading the rookies in yards with 37-75, 29 TDs, also leading the rookies, 12 interceptions, leading the rookies there as well. But I'm okay with that, right? As a rookie, I don't want you to be making mistakes left and right, but somebody like Caleb seemed like maybe he was trying not to make as many mistakes, especially later in there, and not just letting it rip out there. So, I don't want to see you with 21. I don't want to see the Jameis stat line 30. I don't want 30 and 30, but I'm okay with you kind of winging it around out there. You saw some good scrambling ability from these guys, really. Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb, and Drake May, all excellent scramblers. Obviously Jaden Daniels is completely on a different level than those guys from like kind of athletic standpoint and what it looks like. But all those guys really had, great scrambles, and great yardages for the year. Bo Nix came in with 360 yards, Jaden Daniels 577, Caleb Williams 391, and Drake May with 407, but only playing in 13 games there. So all those guys have the leg upside that you kind of wanted, right? Whether they're not all necessarily like Jaden Daniels, where it's like this crazy home run threat of athleticism. All of them can give you that 30 to 70 hidden yardages and sneak in for a touchdown. So that's huge for your fantasy quarterbacks, right?
Of course, man. All 6 of these quarterbacks look promising, right? I don't mean to over exaggerate here, but if the things continue to trend in the right direction, like we could look back years from now, Casey, whether it's a decade, and we could seriously say like this class has the potential to be one of the at least all-time great quarterback classes. Like I really believe that, man. This was such a promising year. It was very reassuring. Again, 1 year, I don't want to overreact, but man, these guys crushed.
Yeah, it was. We really got a nice resurgence and injection of quarterback play.
Yep.
This season of the rookies coming in, the quarterback class looks fairly weak, so I don't know how many more we're going to add. But there's also some room for some resurgences, like we saw with Sam Darnold, and we've seen with Baker, and we saw with Geno. So maybe we'll get another 1 or 2 of those guys to fill in some of the back end quarterback play. But, Jayden Daniels, could easily be rookie of the year. Really, any of these guys could. Jayden Daniels took his team to the playoffs as well, and fantasy wise was just outstanding. You can't be more excited about what you have there. He came away with 3,500 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and then, like I said, added a bunch on the ground, 577 scrambling yards there. So we're giving Jayden Daniels all the love and support, and he deserves it all. And we're kind of really shitting on Caleb Williams for the most part. But, when you pull up their stats and when you look at them, I mean, Caleb had 3,541 yards. I mean, more attempts for sure. The completions were only about 20 off. The completion percentage a little adjusted, 69 to 62.5. When you look at it, there's 20 touchdowns to 25 in Jayden Daniels and 9 interceptions to 6 interceptions. I'm not trying to make excuses for Caleb, but I think when we look at this class as a whole, we say, oh, Caleb's kind of a bust and we're worried about Caleb. But the stats that he's putting up, when you look at him through the rest of the quarterbacks, really pretty decent for a rookie quarterback. And the other problem is I think we really romanticize the situation that Caleb was walking into, which are all things. You're the number 1 pick. Everyone's, this is the best situation a quarterback's ever walked into, yada, yada, yada. Well, didn't quite work out like you thought it might, but wins wise. But when you look back on it, I mean, there's 4 or 5 games I can think of that Caleb took them down on a drive and they could have easily won on, right? I mean, you had the Thanksgiving Day game with the Lions, right? Like, mismanagement of a clock there. You had the block kick with Green Bay, where, they could have, won a game there. The Hail Mary with the Redskins, or the Commanders rather, Indianapolis, he took them down. There was like 4 or 5 scenarios where Caleb could easily have 4 or 5 more wins if things broke his way a little bit in there. And maybe we're looking at Caleb in a slightly different light. So for me personally, I still hold Caleb in a pretty high regard. Bo Nix was a nice surprise for some people. Jayden Daniels was pretty highly regarded. And then Drake May was obviously one of my favorites. If we redid everything, I think you're going Jayden Daniels first out of all of them, but maybe rank these rookie quarterbacks for me here on the way out of talking about these rookie quarterbacks. Jayden Daniels first, and then who are the next 3 or 4?
We're talking
Penix is in there.
We're talking Dynasty, right, Casey? Not real life, right?
Right.
Because no, this is a good question, man. So you got Jayden at 1, you said, right? I would agree.
I think you got to go there.
Yeah, no, I would agree. God, I think this is even harder for Dynasty than it is for real life. And it's tough for real life as well. So give me Jayden 1. I'm with you. Number 2, I'm very torn between Bo Nix and Caleb here. I think I want to go Caleb. I really think I want to go Caleb over Bo Nix. 3, I would go Bo Nix. And then 4, I like Drake May. I don't want to sound like I don't, but he would be the next guy in line here. At 4, then I guess I go Penix. I think Penix is definitely so he's probably one of the toughest evaluations, and he's looked good, man. His accuracy has been absurd. Did you see that one throw he made last week, where he threaded the needle on the sidelines, left side of the field?
Sure.
The receiver wasn't even open, and he completed the pass. So just double coverage. No, Penix's accuracy is off the charts. I think that's how I would rank the quarterbacks, man. It's unfortunate that we haven't been able to see JJ McCarthy.
Yeah. we haven't gotten a whole lot of Penix either. We've gotten a whole lot of runway with these other guys. So it's hard for me to put Penix in front of any of them at the moment, even though I was a big Penix stan, loved everything about him. And, I want to come out here and be like Penix number 2, baby. But I probably would go Caleb number 2 still. And then Drake May and Bo Nix really, really close. It probably seems unfair that I would put May ahead of Nix for all Nix has come out here and done. But May's situation was not great, and he made that team kind of watchable. And I've just been a big Drake May guy, so kind of had him and Jayden Daniels in the same tier going into the rookie drafts for Superflex. So I'll keep Drake. I'll go Bo, and then I'll go Penix. I had Penix ahead of Bo Nix pre-draft. Like I said, I want to put Penix number 2 because I like him so damn much. Maybe not quite the legs that those other guys have, but I think as far as a pure quarterback playing standpoint, I think he's probably slightly above all those guys at this juncture of his career. He's obviously played a lot of football. He just came in right away and was really operating at a high level. So TBD on Penix, but that's kind of where I would stand there. How about a little versus to wrap this up? Kyler Murray or Bo Nix?
I would rather Bo Nix. How do you feel?
It's gotten really close, right? I mean, I think there was a point where I would for sure say Kyler Murray, and hopefully this is Kyler Murray saying, "Hey, we have an opportunity. I've got some good players here. We're gonna get rid of some of the ups and downs, right? Because when Kyler's on and doing what Kyler can do and running around and delivering with confident balls, he's really hard to beat. And he's one of the most exciting guys to watch.
Casey, ready for this?
Yeah.
So CJ Stroud, a lot of people loved. Oh, I shouldn't say a lot of people. Everybody loved his rookie campaign. Obviously, rookie of the year. People thought extremely highly of him. Okay, he threw for 23 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Like, it's a good year. I'm not saying anything other than that. 23 touchdowns, 5 picks for CJ Stroud during his rookie season. Okay. Caleb Williams, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. The worst rookie season you've ever seen, according to the media.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm someone who was lower on Caleb coming out than consensus, and now I feel like I'm higher on Caleb than consensus. Right? It's like I've done my best to stay level-headed, and I think that the media has just portrayed this image that is not accurate. Like, guess what? He's a rookie quarterback, and he struggled. Are you surprised? Like, why would you be, man? What rookie quarterback hasn't struggled? So.
Right. Well, that's again the problem with, CJ Stroud last year was an outlier for how rookies play, right? And now he's coming back to earth and having a little bit of struggles because the team's struggling a little bit. Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, having really good rookie seasons, man. And it's not to say that they won't come in and have a little bit of a sophomore slump in the next go round, right? As far as the Nix Kyler Murray question, I think it's probably same tier for me, and a cop-out question. There was a point where, if you could have gave me something on top of Nix, like a 2 or at one point maybe even a 1, and gotten the Kyler deal, that would have been great. I think Kyler and Nix will probably even out moving forward. It feels like I want to say Bo Nix right now, but I feel like I've seen Kyler Murray be a top 5 quarterback and a very good quarterback. So I'm going to just stick with Kyler here for now, even though I think my head's telling me one thing and my body's telling me another. All right. So you said Bo Nix over Kyler. How about Jordan Love or Bo Nix?
Well, that's a good question, man. Jordan Love's taken a little step back in my rankings, right? I still love him, man. I'm not concerned. Give me Jordan Love, but that's an even closer question.
All right.
And Kyler and Bo Nix is close. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they're in the same tier.
I think we got a bad taste in our mouth about Kyler and a really good taste in our mouth about Bo Nix, about kind of how that season went, how it ended. And everyone's in on the Kyler's mid train, and it won't be too long until, if Bo Nix struggles at all, everyone will call him mid, because that's what everybody does. They just react to the moment of exactly what's happening. Whereas, Kyler was Jayden Daniels for a minute with the same coordinator, or as his head coach, really, Cliff Kingsbury. So we'll kind of see if all that can stay and evolve. And just remember, like Joe Burrow, people were casting him aside this past year because he didn't have the best year ever, right? Lamar, got shifted down outside like the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in Superflex for a little while. Now Burrow was the top 4 or 5. Then he was like back half of the first. So, rebounding values here. Would you take any of those Nix or May or any of those guys? Would you rather have Baker or Goff or Trevor Lawrence, or those guys firmly ahead of them right now?
No, those guys are ahead of them. Baker looks, he feels safe to me, man. I feel like he has a safe floor. I feel like Baker's a legitimate NFL quarterback. He's been now for really 2 full years. No disrespect to what he did prior, but he's definitely, his stock is absolutely increased, right? There's no question regarding that. T-Law, I am a little lower on, rightfully so. And Goff's good, man. Goff is a good player. It just feels like he always kind of gets pushed off to the side, right? Like we're always looking at the new shiny toy or these rookies, right? So I do like Goff a ton in Superflex. It's just I would prefer a lot of these options over him.
All right, last one: Penix or Purdy?
Oh boy, this
Opposite
is a good
trajectories
one,
there at the end of the season. Everyone hated Purdy, a little banged up. Penix comes in at the end of the season, darling.
Oh man, I mean Purdy was just so good just 1 year ago, man.
That was good for big chunks of this year as well.
Right. I feel like the correct answer here is Brock Purdy, but I want to go Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, same.
Give me Brock. Give me Brock.
All right, I'll go Penix. Okay. All right, we'll wrap this one up. He's Austin. I'm Casey. We're the FF Dynasty. Be sure to check Austin on the Twitters at Austin Abbott FF, 2 B's, 2 T's, 2 F's. Make sure you go check all that out. You can come check us out on the Discord if you want more access to us. You can give us a $5 holler. There's also a free Discord. We're going to be going live most Mondays over the next 2. We'll probably move it to Tuesday because there is a pro playoff game and then the college national championship. You get in the Discord. Best way to be able to join those mocks and be a part of the ADP, be a part of the live stream. Those, of course, will go out to the general public on the Twitters as well. So make sure you're checking all the extra stuff out and extra ways to hang out with us. You can get a $5 holler. You can get a $10 holler and get those roster reviews rolling for the 2025 season. Lots of good stuff going on that side of thing. Austin Abbott, you can also get more information and access to him through Patreon as well. Right, Austin?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the plug, Casey. Thank you, man.
Make sure you go check all that out. It's good stuff. And him and I will be hammering rookie content for your pleasure all off season long. So keep it locked and loaded with the FFD, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.